I apologize for the people we're continuing. We're in chapter 4. We're in Kniyat Azehut. We didn't finish the full chapter 3. We could keep going back to chapter 3. Or you want to keep David, because you're the one that you want to keep going with chapter 3, or do you want to start chapter 4? Because we didn't finish. Continue 3 because we stopped in the middle of 3. Okay, friends, wonderful to see you today. We are in Messilat Yesharim. What's your name, by the way?
Shushan.
Shushan what?
Pushkin.
From where?
From Germany.
So everyone here is from Germany?
No.
Where are you from?
Holland. Singapore.
Singapore? Holland? And where are you from, David?
Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today is gather us in. Okay. So we're learning Messilat Yesharim. What's your name, by the way?
Rishi Kanowitz.
Welcome.
What's your name?
Elyon Shemesh. I'm not a rabbi, I give a class once a week.
Mr. Mendelovich from Torah Das.
You are?
I'm Mr. Kanowitz.
I don't understand. What's Mr. Mendelovitz?
He was doing Rosh Yeshiva Torah Das, so he calls himself Mr.
Oh, let's not compare. How do you say? Anyway,
Go on.
Mr. Shemesh, you can call me. So we're learning Messilat Yesharim.
Go on.
Messilat Yesharim is the number 1 bestseller in the Bible after the Tanakh, in the Jewish library. Okay, so that means that it's a very serious book. Okay, so if you had to split the Torah into 2, let's say 2 tracks. One track is called what to do. The other track is what's called midot, which is your character. It's not what to do. It's not what to do. It's why you do it. Okay?
He's very good. Sit down.
So Messilat Yesharim is part of this track that's called Musar, Midot. It's not what to do. It's why you do it, and it's how to become a better person, and how to get close to Kadosh Baruch Hu through getting to know yourself and your personality. Okay? We have another book that is parallel to this book that is called Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. That book is the summary of everything you need to know on what to do. It's the guidebook. So if you want to understand what does Hashem want me to do, buy yourself the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. For example, my rabbi is Rabbi Shlomo Aviner. It's very important to know who you're learning Torah from. Are you getting Torah from, who is the funnel that, the Torah comes from Moshe Rabbeinu down through the generations down to the rabbis, and through your rabbi of every. Why do we have so many books here? And why is every generation they write more and more and more and more books? The answer is that you have to hear God speaking to you. And every generation has a different language and to understand how God speaks to you. In order to understand how God speaks to you, the rabbis of this generation have one job: to translate the Torah of the generation before them to us. I can't open up a book of Rav Kook and understand him. But I can open up a book of my rabbi explaining Rav Kook and teach that. And the next generation goes on and on. So you always have to feel that the Torah is speaking your language. It says that, where do we learn that from? When God spoke to us at Mount Sinai, it says, Anochi Hashem Elohecha Asher Hotzitechem Mitzrayim. Anochi is in Egyptian how you say, how are you? God spoke to us in Egyptian. So we learn from that the Torah has to speak in the language that is connects to us, the language that we can relate to. It's okay that the Torah speaks in the language that the concepts, the language that you are familiar with and comfortable with. And that's what each generation does. So we said my rabbi, Rav Shlomo Aviner, answers every day maybe 600 halachic questions from SMS. They write him questions. And he said 90% of the questions that are asked in the area of halacha, 90% of the questions are asked in the area of halacha are in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. 90% of the questions that are asked in the area of emunah, hashkafa, and character building, belief in God, all these questions, 90% of the answers are in this book, Messilat Yesharim. So it's the summary, and the Rav Kook said, it's the summary and the conclusion of all of the books, all of the Kabbalistic books, and all of the books of Tikkun Midot till the time of the Ramchal 300 years ago. And since then, nobody has come up with anything. There's nothing else to add. In other words, it was so perfect. And the Rav Kook said that on every line in this book, you can write a whole book. And someone did a great job here, a beginning of that job, where he took each line and he started saying what Rav Kook had to say about that line. So you see that, like when Rav Kook said that in each line in this book you can write a whole book, so someone started this important job of taking the one-liners and expanding on it. It's a big, big job, but this is the first step. And that maybe we'll learn a little bit about what Rav Kook says about it if we have time, because we also want to understand the simple meaning of actually what the Ramchal is saying, which is that alone could be enough without expanding to anything else. But we'll try to get a little taste. So the Messilat Yesharim is a book that is based on a pasuk where Moshe Rabbeinu asked the Jewish people, what is God asking from you? This whole book is based to answer this question that Moshe Rabbeinu asked in the desert. Ma Hashem Elohecha Shalom Mimach. Moshe Rabbeinu stopped the Jewish people, Parshat Ekev, in the desert and said, guys, anybody know what God is asking from you? And the answer was, what would you answer if I asked you, what does God want from you?
Follow him.
If you know the answer, don't
Your
say
heart.
David.
I'm not sure. I have one answer. It might be not the answer.
5 things. There's 5 answers. When Moshe asked him, what does God want from you? And then he answered it. He wants 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who knows what the 5 things are?
Is your heart one of them?
Yes, that's number 4. B'chol levavcha. God wants you to serve him with all of your heart. That means your intention. That's number 4, and the order is very important. Each thing leads to the next thing. So that's number 4.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's number 3. What else? If someone came and asked you, something out of nowhere, what does God want from you? You're a Jew, like what does he want from you?
Mitzvot to follow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mitzvot is number 5.
Just looking at
To cling.
Good one.
To cling on to him.
That's b'chol levavcha would be.
Oh, that's-
Oh, actually, no, you're right. No, the cling to him is number 2. You're right. It's called dvekut b'Hashem, which means to walk in God's ways. Halachta bidrachav. By the way, this pasuk, to walk in God's ways, to cling to God, this is where we learn the obligation to develop our character. This is the pasuk that the where do you have the how do you say, show me where's the source?
Mm-hmm.
The source that you don't say, I'm perfect the way I am, I have nothing to change. The pasuk comes, the Rambam says, comes from this pasuk. Walk in God's ways means don't be stagnant, don't be stuck, don't be this is who I am. Accept me who I am. Accept me as I am. No. We don't accept you as you are. You're here to develop. You're here to grow. Why? Because it says about walk in God's ways. God's always in movement, in development. And again, it's against the philosophy of Esav. Esav, it says when he was born, he was made. Asui. His name comes from the root of complete. Made. Esav says, I'm perfect the way I am. I don't need to change anything. I don't need to develop. Like an animal is born and it does everything it needs to do. That's how I am. I accept yourself as you are. That's not a Jewish concept. Next, we're missing one more.
To know him. First recognize him.
or to teach.
I can give you a hint. It usually goes together with this. It's two halves of one.
Fear him.
Yira.
Yeah.
Okay? So you first have to, the first day, everything has to start with admiration. You have to understand God is so great. God is the King of all kings. His one goal, his one purpose in life, sorry, you can't say it, but God's one's desire is to do good, to give to others. That's why he created this world. And you have to have this admiration. I'm busy in my computer game, and God is busy taking care of everybody, wanting every good, developing, bringing good to the world. He's doing so much goodness and kindness, and you have to admire that and say, I don't want to be in my little computer games. I don't want to be there. Once you understand that, then you have to start taking the steps, which is walking God's ways, which means making your character better. What does that mean, making your character better?
Torah.
Means becoming balanced. Torah is the way you do it. You need to have the Torah to help you do it. But you have to do the work. The work is tikkun midot. It means reaching balance. And the Rambam, if anybody wants to learn this in depth, what does it mean walking God's ways? There's a book called The 8 Chapters of the Rambam. It's the introduction to Pirkei Avot. And the 4th chapter, he brings the list called the middle path. In other words, I'm giving you just a few examples. Anger, he calls it a mental illness. A person that has an anger problem is mentally ill. That's
Rambam says that?
the Rambam.
Yeah.
This is in the 4th chapter of the book,
that
8
one.
chapters of the Rambam,
Yeah.
number 4.
Yeah.
So he says you have anger.
Oh, yes.
That's a mental illness. On the other side, you have he'eder hargasha, a person who doesn't want anything and has no feeling. I could curse you, I could scream at you, do you want something? No, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. Anger is, I want it now. This guy says, I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I go meditate on a hilltop and I don't care. I go into nirvana, I go into the nothingness. Whoa. That's sick. That's mentally ill. What's the middle path? Patience. Patience is, I want this, but I know I can't have it now. It's going to take time. So I'm going to use a little bit of this. I'm going to use a little bit of not wanting it, and I'm going to have patience. And the Rambam gives a list of 30 characters, bringing the left, that's to extreme to the left, extreme to the right. For example, somebody loves money, right? Loves money. He's running after money all day long. That's a person who runs after money all day long is mentally ill. He's sick. There's other things in life. There's family. There's taking care of your body. There's no money. What's the other side? I don't want anything. Right? A person who is the opposite of wanting money all day long. A person doesn't want money. I don't want anything. What does the Rambam call that? Tavat mamon is one side, loving money. The other side is, it's called atzlan. It's called laziness. Right? Your person says, no, I don't want money. I'm spiritual. Who are you trying to fool? You're just lazy and you don't want to do any work. So you say, I don't need money. Money is not important. It means nothing. It's physical things. No, you're lazy. What's the middle path? Histapkut. I am happy with my portion. I try to have what I need. I work for what I need, but I don't have to conquer the whole world. And okay, and it goes through a list of 30 things. I call this the spiritual blood test, because when you do a blood test, they tell you your iron is too low, your cholesterol is too high. Now you have to do things to become balanced. You have to take a plan. Maybe you need exercise. Maybe eat less fatty foods. Maybe eat foods with iron. So you have to know yourself. Once somebody came to Rabbi and said, Rabbi, a lot of bad things are happening. What is God trying to tell me? What do I need to fix? You need to fix the fact that you don't know what to fix. Every person should know where his weaknesses are, where your strengths are, and you should be working on that your whole life. That's why God put you in the world, based on the challenges you have. One person is anger, and it makes no difference your starting point. My parents were angry, so I grew up angry. Who cares? I don't care what the reasons are. You have to become balanced. Whatever work you got to do, right? So for one person gets angry, a person gets angry every 5 seconds. You know what that person's job is? Someone looks at you, go wash your face, and then say and then go an hour later, and then 2 hours later, and then a day later, 2 days later. Take 2 days till you come and you tell the person. Another person says something bad to them. It takes them 3 weeks, 2 months till they're able to say, by the way, when you said that, it hurt me. They have to learn how to do it within 5 seconds. By the way, that really hurt me. So there's no one book. This is the way you become a perfect person. Every person has to know himself and build his track on. You have to know what your issues are, and you have to be working towards it, learning classes about it. That's your life's mission. Know yourself. Get to know yourself. That's what it is. Okay, so now let's go back. So once you start working on yourself and you start becoming a balanced person, you start walking in God's ways. And by the way, it's very important. This is the middle path is not a compromise. It's a fusion. You have to know when to use this, when to use that, when to take a little bit of this dosage. It's easy to go black and white.
Yeah.
Right? But to be able to say, like for example, I hate the chilonim. Why? Because I hate the chilonut. That's easy. Or I love the chilonim. Why? Because I love the chilonut. But to be able to say, I love the chilonim and I hate the chilonut, that's very hard. Because you have to take the middle path. To go and eat the whole cake is easy. To say, okay, I'm starving myself is easy. But to take actually a small sliver and enjoy it, that's hard. Because once I took it, I want more. Okay. But that's the purpose in life. Always try to reach balance in the middle path. That's the way God created us. So you walk in God's ways, and suddenly this leads. Love is always the outcome of a process. People think love, I fell in love. I was walking down the street, there was a hole, I fell inside. Happiness, something happened to me, suddenly, boom. No, love is something that you work on. How are we commanded to love God? Love just happens. No, when you learn about God, when you understand who God is, you love Him. The more you understand who God is, the more you love Him. So love is an outcome of a process of effort and work. And therefore, this process of walking God's ways, Dvechut B'Hashem, leads to love, and that leads to doing it with the right intention. You refine your actions. You take the good and you make it better. Now I'm not just doing it because I want to have a good life and a place in Olam Haba. I'm doing it because God said to do it. It's a very high level to do things just for the sake of God. Oh, why are you helping me? I'm sure you want something, right? When you do something good for somebody, okay, so what do you want? Okay, what do you want? People can't even understand that there's a concept that actually someone does something good. It's hard to find. The rabbis here, they have that. Why are you listening to me? Why are you helping me? What are you trying to get out of me? Nothing. I want to help you. There are people like this in the world. They want to do good just for the sake of doing good. It's not about how you're going to give me back. It's not about what I'm going to gain out of it. It's not about that's with people, but also with God. It's a very high level. To do it for the sake, because God said to do it. Why are you learning Torah? I want to become a rabbi. I want kavod. I want this. No. Why are you learning? Just because God said to learn. That's the highest level, lishma, for the sake of God. And then, once you've worked on all these things, you're ready for the mitzvot. So, all of these, the 80-20 rule. 80% of serving Hashem is all in your internal world. Nobody sees it. Nobody knows it. Nobody knows what's going on with you. It's very hard in this world when we live in a world where everything's about the image. The opposite of image is what's called building character. Yes.
What's the fourth one?
Fourth one is keeping mitzvot.
No, the fourth.
Bechol levavcha, with all your heart. In other words, to do it with kavanah.
Yeah.
With the kavanah. I'm doing it because all these things are internal things. No, nobody knows. I could be eating this korban because it's tasty meat, or I could be eating it because it's a mitzvah to eat it. It's God said to do it. So that nobody knows. Outside they look exactly the same, right? I could be putting on tefillin because I want a nice picture for Instagram. at the kotel. I'm not even. There's no. According to it's like that's called mitasek. If on Shabbos I lean back on the wall and turn on the light, I don't bring a sacrifice for turning on a light
Wasn't intentional.
because no shogeg you do bring a sacrifice. I forgot that it was Sunday, that it was Shabbos, and I thought it was Sunday. It was Sunday, and I turned it on. That's shogeg. You should have thought that.
I thought if like your elbow bumps, that's also shit.
No, that's mitasek. Mitasek means that you're just like walking around, boom, you lean back and you turned it on. Zero. Because you are not present. There is no desire to do something. And a person, the desire is who you are. If you're doing something with no desire, that's what tshuva is all about. Is you go back and you take out the desire. I did that because I wanted to do it. Now I feel bad. I don't want to do it. You go back and you pull out the desire. It becomes an action that was not done, because an action without desire is not an action. Without being present, without ratzon. Okay? So, anyway, this is the pasuk that this book is based on. This is in their introduction. So I'm sorry that we're getting sidetracked. In order to... Now, so again, like we said, this book, Messilat Yesharim, only explains these 4 things. Mitzvot, you have to go to another library called Shulchan Aruch. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. It's another library. This book explains to you how do you reach 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? That's what this book talks about. How am I going to learn to have yirah? How am I going to learn to work on my midot? How am I going to learn to love God? How am I going to learn to do it with my intention? Those are the... Can I erase this part? Now, in order to reach these 4 steps, the Ramchal tells us you need 9 steps. The 9 steps are, and again, like the Gemara explains, that's the Torah. The Gemara explains how do you reach those 5 steps, those 4 steps. How do you reach those 4 steps? You take 9 steps. The 9 steps are Zehirut, Zirizut, and Nekiyut. We're not going to go through all of them. The bottom line is, the first 3 are for everybody. Each one is 4 chapters, 4 parts. And if you do these 3 steps, Zehirut means the opposite of
Lazy.
That's Zrizut is the opposite of laziness.
To be
Carefulness, how to pay attention, how to be aware. What's the opposite of Zeirut? Is the opposite of Zeirut is habit. Or being drunk. In other words, you are not there. Your intellectual, your concept of freedom of choice is gone. Right? A person that's drunk or a person that is habit. Habit is I'm just doing it. I don't think. Right? We're not talking about bad habits. We're talking about some good habits. If you're praying today because you prayed yesterday, so you're not there. Right? You're putting it on the machine. We have in us ability to become mechanical behavior. We can act like machines. We can do things. Oh, but it's Shabbos today. What did I do? Right? Because the machine works. It's cruise control. You press cruise, you give over your freedom of choice, and you just do. You go pray 3 times a day. You're not there. You're not making a choice. This is what a person does. Okay, I did it. Checkbook, go. No, you have to make a choice. That's why it's very important. Pay attention. Be careful. Think. Come in 5 minutes early before the tefillah. Sit down. Think about what you're going to do. Say the korbanot. Say ashrei. Calmly, relaxed. Okay, I'm going to pray now. I'm going to communicate with the creator of the world. In the business world, if any of you go into the business world, if you want to get to the biggest CEO, do you know what you have to go through to get a meeting? A prime minister. It's almost impossible. You have to go, you have to have a reason, you have to have this, you have to go through a million things, and they have to check your security and blah, 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 blah. Every single day, we have 3 times a day a meeting with the creator of the world himself. Hu Eli v'chai go'ali. God you're communicating with God, personally, you with God. And there's no one else in the room besides you and God. That's a serious thing. You have to think about what you're doing before you do it. Right? So, Zehirut, Zizut, Nekiyut. This is what is expected from every Jew. If you do these 3 steps, the first 12 chapters, you become a tzaddik. A tzaddik is what is expected from every Jew. If you didn't become a tzaddik, they ask you in Shemaim, why didn't you fulfill your potential? When I was 3 years old, I went to see a tzaddik named Rabbi Machon. He asked me, what do you want to be when you're big? I said, I want to be a tzaddik. He said, it's hard work. Since 3 years old till today, 45 years old, I still have the same mission in life. I want to become a tzaddik. That's my mission. Still the same mission from 3 years old till today. If you work on these 12 steps, you become a tzaddik. The next group of 3, you become a chassid. A tzaddik is someone that does what's expected of him. A chassid is someone that goes above the letter of the law. Nobody asked you to do extra, but you love God, you want to do extra. And a kadosh, the last 3, is someone who has no other reality in life, no other desire besides to serve God. And then that's the highest level, and you get Ruach HaKodesh. You get like the highest level that exists after prophecy, right? There was prophecy, went down to Ruach HaKodesh. It's the highest spiritual level you can reach in this world that we're in, and that's to become a person that's Ruach HaKodesh. By the way, this is given to you as a gift. It's not something you do. Okay, I learned it, I did it. No, it's like you build a vessel. If you reach this level and you built the vessel, God can decide to fill it. It doesn't mean that now I did it, God, okay, reward. No. If I think that you're worthy, certain individuals reach that level. Okay? So, can I erase this? This is a quick crash course of the introduction. Now we're at this class, because you're a part of a class that's continuing. We are in Zehirut, and we're in part 3. Part 3. Can I erase this so far? We're in part 3 of becoming a tzaddik. What does that mean, part 3? Every one of these character that the Ramchal wants to teach us. Like we said, the first one is paying attention. The second one is zrizut, is passion, excited, joy, happiness, energy. How do we become excited to serve God? That's stage number 2. But this, what I'm telling you now, is the layout of the whole entire book. Zehirut is broken into 4 parts, and this is the way each character, this is the model for the whole book. Part number 1 is klal. Part number 2 is prat. Part number 3 is kniyah. And part number 4 is mafsidim. Exactly. We'll get there in 1 minute. Okay, this is the same model. Mafsidim. Part number 1 is to understand the overview. Right? A very important lesson in life. When you come to learn Torah, don't jump into a Gemara class. Rava said this, Abaya said that. Whoa. What is the overview? What are the concepts? Understand the big picture. Learn the introduction. Come to something with you already have an understanding of the overall concepts. Whatever the Gemara is, see the big picture. Don't just jump into the details. Number 2, now you need to know what to do. I understand, today everybody thinks they know everything about everything, right? I read a little article about science and mathematics. I'm a mathematician. No. Now you have to acquire it. Then you have to know the details. You have to know, what do I do? Okay, I understand doctors, they save lives, they help people's health, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Now I have to go to medical school. So now I need to know the detail. What is the details? I want to understand the overview. Why people are not careful? Why am I not careful? How does it work in the reality? What is the forces that make me not be careful? I understand that overview. Now I need to know, what are the steps I have to take. Take A, B, C, D. You want to take these steps. These are the steps to become careful. Then I need to know, once I know what to do, I know exactly what to do. What else do I need
To do it.
to do it? Because a lot of people can say by heart, I need to do ba 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 ba. Say it again. I need to do da 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 da. So why are you not doing it? Because I don't have motivation. Motivation, it's not enough to know it in here. You need the motivation to help you do it. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is once you got it, you understood the overview, you know what you had to do, you got the motivation, now you have to do maintenance and upkeep. Say when you have a car, you have to change the oil, you have to change the brakes, you have to, you have to take it in. Same thing. If you do not follow the manual, you will lose this character. Everything you got that you feel is it's yours, you own it. Everything in this life that you don't do maintenance, you lose it. How do we know that? Adam and Chava were in the Garden of Eden and they got kicked out. So everything is like this in life. There's nothing that you could just stand still and say, and that's what happens, unfortunately, with couples. They get married, they think, wow, the love is so strong, it's so great, this is forever, I don't have to do anything. Time goes by and suddenly, who are we, what's going on, fighting? Where did this happen? It happened very slow, very, very slow. There was this, like, how do you say, wear and tear. There's a, things get worn down. In Hebrew, it's called ayefut hachomer. Like, all material gets weakened. It just happens. Unless, like you have a cup, the dust comes on and it eats away at it. But if you clean it, if you wash it, if you upkeep it, it could stay good, perfect the way it was from the beginning and even nicer. Right? Which is a very important thing to know. Because you're in the generation where they say there's 60% divorce and 80% of people are emotionally divorced. In other words, they're miserable, they're not happy, they're married.
What, it's in religious circles or like Western society?
In religious circles and everybody. In religious circles, it's a little less. Maybe it's a little less, but unfortunately, it's very high. As someone who's been in therapy with his wife for 20 years, when you're working, I love my wife more than we ever loved her before because we work very hard at it. You have to talk. You learn how to, like I said, the maintenance and the upkeep. Because very easily, you can lose anything that you worked so hard to get if you don't take the measurements to the upkeep. And that's why this book is such a gift that it tells you everything. That's why even the greatest rabbis, from the greatest, biggest rabbis to the simplest person, my rabbi showed me his book that he has already 60 years. Same book. And every day when he wakes up in the morning, he sits down and he learns Messilat Yesharim every day. And Rav Kook wrote himself a summary in Messilat Yesharim. Rav Aviner. And Rav Kook wrote a summary of Messilat Yesharim and he had it in his pocket. And every time he would look at it, he would read it every day, go over it. It's not, because this is not a book of knowledge. This is a workbook. Not a book of knowledge. It's a book. It says that when the Gaon of Vilna got this book, he paid a lot of money. He put on his Shabbos clothes. He went to get it. He read the book 101 times the first day. And he said, if the Ramchal was alive, I would walk by foot and I would sit at his feet for him to teach me. This is what this book is. And he learned it for the rest of his life. It's such a gift. It's like a person walking in the forest. We got lost in the forest, and he put the stone to show you the pathway through the forest, through this jungle, through this difficulty. We have this book that is it's the flashlight, right? Zehirut comes from the word zoha, which means something that is illuminated, something is lit up, right? This comes from the secrets of the Torah, and we have this flashlight, the Messilat Yesharim, that guides us in the darkness to make it through to the place to find ourselves. So let's keep going. So we are right now, I apologize for the people that are in the first class. We are in step number 2. What do we have to do? Again, whoever comes in, whenever you come in, the Baal Shem Tov says, this is what you need to learn. So even though the Ramchal is the master of systematic, organized program, like everything is very systematic, organized. You need A, you need B. B splits up to C, A, B, C, D, D. and then he's very, very. There's goals and there's sub goals, and the Ramchal is Mr. How do you say order? Everything is very, very systematic. But
Was he Jekke?
and the Yek is he's from Italy originally.
Okay.
What?
So Yeka's not German?
No, it's German, yeah.
It's German, but
Italy is
He was from it.
the Ramchal lived in Italy. Luzzato is a city called Luzzato.
And then he came
But
to
North
Israel.
Italy
And then he stopped
is like
from,
Switzerland.
and then he went from Italy to Amsterdam, and that's where he wrote this book. This book was written in Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam he came to buried, and
No, he's in. He's
he was buried. He's and then buried in Tveria. I'm embarrassed to say I haven't been at the kever yet, but I really want to go, and I highly recommend everyone who, if you do go to Tveria, go to the kever. It's a big honor. Okay, so but the Ramchal is alive with us in this class right now, and the Gemara says that when you learn from a tzaddik, you should imagine that he is sitting here before us teaching us. And so the Ramchal tells us that what are the steps you have to do if you want to harotzeh lefakeach al atzmo. Rotzeh means ratzon, desire. You have to first of all want to be, how do you say lefakeach means to oversee, overlook. You have to want to observe yourself. You have to want to. A lot of people say, just let me do what I want. But I have to always be like a watchdog for myself. Let me just go and do whatever I want. Why do I have to be observing myself? The answer is, later in the very, very advanced stages, you don't need to watch yourself. You could just, like King David, Chashavti drachai v'ashiva raglai ledotecha. I was walking to go do some business thing, and suddenly I found myself in shul learning. How did I get here? Because my feet walk on their own. That's the King David says. Chashavti drachai, I had plans. V'ashiva raglai, my feet walk to do mitzvahs. They go to do holy things, because that's already very high levels. You don't need to watch yourself. You flow. Most people, if they let themselves flow, will flow into the sewer. You understand? Yeah. That's just what happens. So at the beginning stages, you have to want to observe yourself. Lefakeach al atzmo. Okay? And there's two things you have to know. Achat, if you wanna do it, we have to know what is the true good and what is the true good that I should be choosing. In other words, you need to have the Torah. The Torah has to be your guidebook. The Torah has to be, how do I know what's good and what's bad? Right? You have to know what is good. What is good is what God said is good. What is bad is what God said is bad. Right? That's number one. In other words, you have to have, first of all, okay, this is what's good, and this is the direction I want to go. And then you have to, and this is the bad I want to run away from. And the second thing, you have to know my actions. Do my actions, did they fit into what I decided was good and bad? Are my actions fitting in? Like we said, there's a disconnect between what I know and what I do. So I need to know what's good and bad. And then I have to review my actions. I have to review it bishat maaseh, while I'm doing it, and after I did it, or before I did it. In other words, in the army it's called tadrich yetziat lakrav, lekach achar kav. In the army they have something that's called every time preparation to going out to battle. Okay, guys, we're going out. Most likely the enemy's going to attack from here, and they're going to come from here. They have these type of weapons. We're going to come with these kind of weapons. Blah 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 blah. A summary. Okay, we planned it like this. We knew what happened. Did it come from where we thought it was going to come? If it didn't come, then maybe we need to go from next time, go from a different angle. In other words, something that you're surprised and happens against your will is not your choice. But if it happens again, second time, it's already your choice. Why didn't you change and do it a different way? Like Einstein says, the definition of insanity is to do the same action and expect a different outcome. Why do you think that it should be different? if you did the same thing. So why should it be different? There's no reason why it'll be a different outcome. So this is what's called cheshbon nefesh. Okay? You sit down at the end of the day and you say, in the morning you start your day, this is what I would like to do. At the end of the day, by the way, how long does it take to do this? It takes about 2 minutes. God put us in this world to act. God didn't put you in the world to lock yourself in the room and always reviewing. But you have to have a set time, set place, and you is during the night before you go to sleep. You have a set time, set place. You could do it in writing. You can do it in thought. You can do it in talking. However you want. Review your day and discover what you did good, what you did bad. How am I going to make the bad not happen again? How am I going to make the good become better? Very simple. This secret, the Ramchal he cannot, how do you say it? I can't pronounce. I cannot even begin to emphasize that how great this revelation is. What I'm telling you right now. That takes you 2 minutes. What this will do to your life. The Ramchal says, my rabbi said, 99.9% of people in this world, they don't change. The way they're born is the way they're going to die. And the 1% of people are changed are the people that do this secret right here. And the Ramchal goes on and on to say, what a secret, right? It's so revolutionary that I can't believe it. But you need to have proof. What is the proof that what I'm saying is right, says the Ramchal. Right? I can't come and say a chiddush. I have a big revolution that's going to change the world. 99.9% people don't change. The 1% of people that change because of this, and this is the secret. That's very big. That's a very revolutionary concept. You have to have proof. For example, I'll tell you another revolutionary concept. Think good and it will be good. That's unbelievable. That's that's the biggest secret in the world. And it will be, it's not, you could show me any proof, show me any halachic in the Gemara. All these great rabbis, nobody thought of this concept of think good and it will be good. Maybe you'll feel good. Maybe in the feeling you'll feel good. Think good, you'll feel good. But it doesn't mean that the reality will change because you're thinking good.
Law of attraction.
What?
Law of attraction.
Yeah.
Like
I'm asking, but the Torah, what law, where there's a pasuk that says, think good will be good. There's no pasuk. Where is the rabbis, the Gemara, the halacha, where it's somewhere in the thousands of years did somebody come up with this idea of think good and it will be good? Actually, in the army, they say the opposite. Think bad and it will be good. Plan for the worst case scenario, because then you'll be able to function. Think for the best and it will come out bad, you're finished. You plan for the worst. I'm probably going to lose these soldiers and this is going to happen and this is the worst. Always think for the worst case scenario so that you're built to be able to survive the outcome. But where does the Ramchal says you need a proof for it? Where is the pasuk that says you have to do this cheshbon nefesh? Very simple. The pasuk is Al ken yomru hamoshlim bo cheshbon. There's a pasuk. The pasuk is Al ken yomru hamoshlim bo cheshbon. It's where is it from? That's in. I forgot what. Mar explained what does this pasuk mean. Al ken yamu hamoshlim. If you want to be a ruler, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be independent, if you want to be a servant of God, if you want to be the full you, bo cheshbon. Make a calculation, like the Ramchal brought before here. Why is it that? And it doesn't make any sense to do cheshbon nefesh because you're wasting time, right? For example, why is it one store has a little store and he doesn't grow. Why does this store become a supermarket chain around the world? Why? They're both selling milk and eggs. What happened? This store closed. Closes his store and says, what is selling? What's not selling? What are the markets around the world doing? What are the trends? What are the... Okay? Now this guy looks at this guy and says, you stupid. You're losing money. The clients are people are looking to buy. Everyone's coming to me. I'm making so much money and you're losing because you're closing your store early. Okay, keep selling. Right? Doesn't make sense. What are you doing? Learn Torah. Don't stop. The Ramchal is saying this cheshbon nefesh is on the level of learning Torah. To be able to say, do this, spend time on this, and don't learn Torah, because the value of you get of this cheshbon nefesh is so great. This is Torah learning, says the Ramchal. This is a very big chiddush. Where do I learn it from? I learn it from the Torah. I can't have time to go into explaining this pasuk, but it's the most amazing. Oh, by the way, another thing, you're not allowed to say about any pasuk, this is the most amazing pasuk, because then you're saying this one is, this one's not. So you're allowed to say this is the most amazing pasuk. All the psukim are amazing. That's our tzviyuda used to say it. It's a very interesting thing. You can't say this pasuk is so amazing. Oh, what's he saying? The other ones are not. Okay, so just a side note, but this pasuk teaches us a very important lesson. When we were coming to Israel, what is this pasuk? Al Ken Yamo Mushlim Ba'u Cheshbon. When we were coming to Israel, on the path was Moav. Sichon came and fought Moav. Sichon came and fought Moav, kicked them out, and now it was Sichon. And people and obvious, so clear to everybody that Sichon belonged to that Cheshbon, which was the capital of Sichon, that this area is owned by Sichon, that people would say, Al Ken Yamam Mushlim Ba'u Sichon. Oh, let's go hang out at the capital of Sichon, Cheshbon. What is that important? Is to understand the only way to see the process of things, trends, and things that are happening, and to see that this is leading to that, is to stop and think and look and see the big picture, not just the details. How did I eat today? How did I talk to people today? What was I thinking today? The general picture. Where am I in my life? Where am I in the direction that I'm going? Do I feel fulfillment in my life? Am I doing good? Not just the steps. That's called pishpush and mishmush. We spoke about that last week. So we want to move on. So, okay. We're moving on. So the Ramchal brings the Gemara that explained that where this concept comes, and he goes on, and this secret, this advice that is so real, the only people that could give this advice and see how real it is and how true it is are people that have already come out of the slavery of the Yetzer Hara, of the physical desires, and controlled it. They could tell us this secret. In other words, if they were still in captive in the slavery of his physical desires. By the way, the Yetzer Hara is not a person. It's the desire for self-preservation that overtakes all of the aspects of your life. Everything becomes an emergency, a crisis. I need to make money. I need to make physical. I need to take care of myself physically. So there's nothing else. There's no other people. There's no other. And that's what this, like, through the Breita. So he said his job was to get people out of prison. He would go and do pidyon shvuim. And basically what it tells us is that this book, we're in slavery. There's only me, myself, and I. There's en od milvadi. There's nobody else but me. Rav Kook says, הרבה צריך לעמול אדם כדי לראות שיש עוד אדם מחוצה לו. A person has to work and toil and put so much effort to acknowledge that there's actually another person here besides me. As someone in 25, there was only me here. So most of us live in this reality, and this generation, it's harder than it's ever been, because in the past, people felt bad. I really shouldn't just think about myself. This generation, it became, the more selfish you are, the better it is. Facebook, it's about me. It's about myself, my desires, my wants, my fulfilling myself. It's wonderful. But you have to learn that was okay when you were a baby and everyone was running around you. But you were supposed to have a bar mitzvah, or at least graduate a little more to acknowledge that the more you're able to give to others, the more you're able to see others and care for others. And this is hard. It's easy to say. It's hard to do. Marriage is the greatest gift that God gave us, that we have no choice. We have to work and come out of our selfishness, because otherwise the other person, you can't make it in the relationship if you can't learn to see that there's another person. As a single person, you can go in your room, lock the door, and that's it. It's done. So basically, the Ramchal ends this chapter by saying, let me give you an example. There, in England, there's these gardens that are called labyrinth gardens. Labyrinth gardens were gardens that were made for ministers and kings. It's a game where you have to, all the walls look the same, all the pathways look the same, and it's a game. Why is it a game for ministers and sarim umlachim? Why is it a game for kings? Why is it a game for very important people? Okay? Why? Hayadua etzel hasarim. Why is it a game for rulers? The answer is because when you're a ruler, you have to see the big picture. You have to, when you're a leader, you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to admit your mistakes. Okay? So this guy starts to walk here. He comes up against the wall. Goes back to here, comes through here. Okay? You have to see the big picture. They show you the map. You see the map? To do it is very important. You have to know who you are, what personality type you are. The Ramchal breaks it down to 3 general personality types. And for each one, he builds a program. You wouldn't need the Ramchal. It's very serious. The motivation.